Hello and greetings from London. I am Cindy Walter with my daughter.
Katie, and we are not in London, we are in Harrogate. Oh, you go.
Oh gosh. All right, this could be one of those episodes. We're not drinking alcohol, we're drinking tea. We just had dinner and a lovely day, and I can't see anything because I have contacts in. And so without the readers, I can't even see you guys. And we've been saying we're in the wrong place for the whole time we've been here. We're still in England. We're going home in the morning. So we spent our last day in Harrogate today, but we've been on trains and buses and planes, and we don't even know what day it is anymore, but we've had a blast.
We have had a lot of fun.
And we were hoping to come to you from the yoga studio and do some yoga for knitters, talk about posture, do some head and neck poses for you and some hand work. But we have just run out of time. So you promise you'll do it with me?
We'll do it again.
Promise. All right. But we really wanted to talk to you about the yarn crawl we've been on everywhere since I've been here and how much fun we've had. So I want to start with finished products.
You only have, you're the only one that's
Okay, I finished my socks finally. So they're not blocked, obviously. They look ridiculous right now, but they're so cute. These are the vanilla socks from the Crazy Sock Lady. First pair I've done with the 9-inch circular needles, and I really loved it. They worked up really, really quick and easy, and I think once I block them, I'm going to be super happy with them. They kind of look misshapen now, but they're great. Let's see, I'll even try one on for you. They're cute. I have large feet, but they're really awesome. So I'm very, very happy with them. And I'm going to be making a couple more pairs of them because I have yarn ready to go at home for them. But that's what I completed while I was here. And then works in progress. You've got yours, don't you?
You have mine.
You have it hidden. I don't see it. I have been working on the Petite Knit Cloud sweater. Katie talked me into using that pattern with, I always forget the name of my yarn, Blue Sky Fibers, and the color is, what does that say? I can't even read it.
Wild Time.
Wild Time. I can't even read it with the readers. I'm 56, folks. All right, so I've made some serious progress. I still have to go back and do the neck, but I got the bottom all done. And she has you do some ribbing, 4 rows of ribbing at the bottom, and then 4 rows of knitting. And she wants it to kind of curl up. So that's unusual and a little bit different. And the neck will curl a bit. And then the other thing that was different is there's 2 rows of purling down the seam. I don't know if you can really see that. Oh, there you go. Down the shoulders, and then when the arms are when the sleeves are cast on. So that's kind of cool. Katie made the cloud sweater with.
I made the cloud blouse. So same exact shape, but for a thinner yarn. I used some knitting for Olive I had on hand. And I always, every time I wear it, I get compliments on the rolled neck. So it's a really good finished product.
And you did 2 strands. Didn't you do a mohair with it? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's adorable, and she wears that a lot. So let's show yours, because you
let me show first. My mom brought me this whip bag to England.
So we now have matching bags.
We have matching whip bags. And I am working on my Olga jacket by also Petite Knit, which I did show this last time I was a guest. I've made a little bit of progress, not too much, honestly. I am joined up, so my armholes are in place, and now I'm just working for length, and then I'll have my sleeves and my button stuff to add on after that.
And we bought your buttons at Dutton's for Buttons. Yes. So thank you, because someone here recommended we go there, and we went to 2 different ones, actually. 2?
Yeah, there's a Dutton's for Buttons in York that we went to several times. And there's a Dutton's for Buttons here in Harrogate that we stopped at today.
Okay.
And I love their button selections. You can maybe show that close. This is actual horn. So every button is unique and different. And then Mom got some gorgeous. Did you get the real leather or the faux leather?
I think I ended up getting the faux leather just because I was worried about washing. stick them in here. Oh, I didn't. I don't know where they are at the moment. But I did buy these for us today, little stitch markers with sheep on them. So I got some for Katie too. And that's it for works in progress.
That's it for whips.
With us. You have some more at home.
Yes.
Okay. Now, do you want to see what we've been buying? What I have been buying? Let's start. I think.
No, start with your Iceland yarns first.
All right. So I showed you guys on one of my episodes, and I can't remember which one, the 4 Icelandic sweaters that I made for each of my 4 kids. And I've made them for Scott and I told the story of how I went to Iceland as a 21-year-old, fell in love with Icelandic sweaters, and then started making them. And I've probably made, I would say, about 8 of them so far. So I have a stash of leftover cakes at home. This is how the lopi, or I don't know if it's called lopi actually, the wool comes. And it's like caked up like this, so you don't have to cake it yourself. It's great, but this is the one thing that's really challenging with it, is watch how easy it tears. So knitting with it is quite, it's difficult to get used to, but it's incredibly sturdy once you knit with it. So I have a bunch at home. So I bought a couple of fun colors to put together some sweaters when I get home. I at least have enough for one, but I think I have enough for 2 sweaters. So that's going to be one of the first things I do when I get home, is figure out what sweater I'm going to make with my leftover wool and adding this to it. So that was project number 1. And then the pink one over there I got in Iceland, didn't I? Yes. I got a sweater's quantity of this bright pink, Aleph Sloppy. I'm sure I'm not saying that correctly, but it's a Lobi wool, and it's wonderful, and I love the color. So I don't know what I'm going to do with this. So guys, if you have any ideas, I can't read it all. It
Have you
say
done a
what
cardigan
size.
before?
Yes, with I did an Icelandic cardigan.
Oh, and you're doing your champagne cardigan.
And I'm doing the champagne cardigan.
What am I looking for?
Does it say worsted, or what exactly what size it is?
No, it does not.
Okay, so I'll have to figure that out. It looks DK worsted, but it's beautiful. So I have a sweater's quantity of that I'll be making when I get home.
And then most of our trip has been in Yorkshire. So we did one day in Edinburgh in Scotland, but like I mentioned, I live in York. So mostly we've been exploring the Yorkshire County. And there's a company called West Yorkshire Spinners. I know that it's carried some places in the States. I didn't really get familiar with it until I moved over here. But Mom really wanted to get some West Yorkshire Spinners yarn. So I think most of the rest of this is theirs.
Yeah.
Picked up from various stores that we have explored.
Right. So where do we begin?
Well, we have some sock yarn. Mom, it's Mom's. We've got a lot to knit.
A lot. I won't be buying yarn for a year. All right. So they had self-striping yarn. So this, I don't know if you can see this very clearly, but it's like gray, brown, neutrally colors, beautiful. So I was excited about that. Here is a Christmas collection color, which is great. This was their very special Christmas yarn, and you can see a little bit of the glitter in it. It's beautiful. And with this, you got an actual little booklet with patterns in it with special socks to make in the Christmas yarn. So I was excited about that. And then I got a bigger skein. And what did I get?
Still soft, but a little bit thicker.
Yeah, this I thought I might be able to use for this sock pattern. So I'll have to figure that out when I get home, but I loved the colors for this too. And this is a much bigger skein. Man, I might get two pairs of socks out of that one. And then, not that I need more sweaters.
Oh, and this one, this is the choice from Edinburgh. So we got this in Scotland, but this actually still is West Yorkshire Spinners. My dad always has like a limit on walking for a given day. He doesn't like to do more than 5 miles or so, or his joints start to hurt. And Mom came on this trip with a bit of a foot injury. So she usually is like all about miles, the more the better. But she's had a bit of a limit on this trip as well. And I think we did over 10 miles in that day.
Oh yeah.
And this lovely yarn store, I think it's called Ginger Twist in Edinburgh. Was a little bit of a walk away. It was about a mile from where we were, but we had time to kill before dinner, so we went. And it wasn't probably the most zen you've been at a yarn store. Both of my parents were hobbling by the time we got there, begging to Uber the rest of the day.
Which is very unusual.
Holding each other up. And so it was kind of a frenetic energy when we were buying this wool. And there's my dad's feet in the background. He's watching the Cleveland Guardians game while we record. But I think this was a good choice. But maybe it wasn't the most thoughtful choice, but a good choice nonetheless. All right.
Yeah, and so I didn't have again a plan for this. So I will definitely need to get online. And I am not a queen of Ravelry. So if any of you are, you can teach me, because I'll put in a yarn trying to find a pattern to use it with, and I get very frustrated. I tried to help my neighbor with a specific yarn I gifted her with years ago, and I was so frustrated. I spent like 2 hours on there. But this is it. It's like a tweed, and I do love the colors in it. Very fallish looking, I would say. Rust color, gray, neutral cream, brown. It is beautiful. So I have a sweater's quantity of this, and I'm excited. I really did want something tweed, but it is unlike me to buy yarn without having a project for it. Usually I pick out my project, then I buy my yarn. So this was a little bit unusual. So I'm excited to find a project for that, but that'll probably be down the road. And then this one, Katie made me do it.
I made her. It feels so nice. And I think ever since I really got into knitting, I've been really obsessed with using really good fibers, because I just feel like if I'm going to spend 40 plus hours on a garment, I want to love the feel and the look of the fiber. And I also want to be kind of proud of where it comes from. I want to have good feelings about the longevity of the item and kind of what happens to it, post my use. So I'm really passionate about natural fibers. And since moving to the UK and kind of learning the landscape a bit of raw wool and wool manufacturing, I'm still not an expert on that, but kind of long story short, there's a ton of sheep in the UK, so much so that there's an excess of wool. Lots of farmers, I actually got to stay on a sheep farm not too long ago. Lots of farmers burn or throw away their raw wool because there's so little money to be had in it. And if anything, you sometimes lose money on the wool. So I love buying, now that I live here and I'm kind of in that environment, I love buying stuff that is grown and processed in the UK. So this is a new line we learned that was just released by West Yorkshire Spinners, and the fibers are coming from the UK. They're processed in Yorkshire. So I just felt like it was the right choice. Mom was like feeling like she shouldn't maybe buy any more wool, and maybe having seen her haul, you might agree. But this just looks so nice and it feels so nice. And then I just love that it's all from here.
Yeah, there was a cheaper yarn, like half the price of that, in a pretty kind of aqua blue color that I was really going to settle for, because I had already spent enough money on yarn. I brought so much stuff for her, like half of one of my 2 suitcases. I have a little carry-on and then a medium-sized bag, and half of one of my bags was completely with her stuff, my bigger bag. And now it's replaced with yarn on the way home, which is very light. So I'm going to pack as much in there as I can. But so I had a little bit of guilt about getting this, but it is beautiful. And I sure hope I have enough. But it is called Fable. And a new book had just come out, and she showed us the pattern book, and it's beautiful. Katie, what would you say? Like a mocha color?
It almost, I would say it's kind of a neutrally brown, but it has like a purple lean to it, like a very light purple. I'm sure it's not showing on camera. No. But almost, like a brownish purple.
Yeah, there's a little
gorgeous.
Yeah, a little bit of a purple undertone to it. It is beautiful and it is soft, and I have no buyer's remorse. Now, I will not have to buy any yarn for a year, and I have enough projects to get me through probably the entire fall, winter, and maybe spring.
Yeah,
but it was fun. It was fun. And I don't know, we had so much fun going to the different yarn shops. talking to people. The one thing that is lacking here is what I have grown to love about yarn shops in, well, the Ohio, Michigan area where I'm from, is you'll have a store owner that will help you pick out yarn, pick out patterns. They'll wind your yarn and cake it for you in the stores. Here, you kind of have to do it yourself, don't you? It's a little different.
Well, I think the conversations I've had with people, there was like a generation of wool shops that closed that didn't survive kind of the e-commerce shift. So I know that there used to be really good wool shops in York and Whitby where we visited that just don't exist anymore. There's not a true wool shop in York. We've gotten to go to some nice ones in some of these other cities, but all we have there are kind of some crafting stores that have a very small selection of yarns and wool. So I think, at least where I live, that is something that's kind of definitely lacking.
Yeah.
I think it did exist at one point, but
and in London they have you been to?
I've been to some good ones in London.
Okay, because I can't remember the one off the top of my head that my Italian girl I follow goes to, but I know she talks about one, and you've been to the one in Copenhagen.
Knitting for Olive.
She's been to Knitting for Olive. Can you believe that? You guys probably all have heard of that or used their fabric. She's been there. And so anyway, there's definitely room for new yarn shops, big yarn shops, classes to teach knitters. So she's trying to build a knitting community here. We got together with some friends once and twice while I was here. She taught yoga. I got to 4 of her 6 classes while I was here. I went on a 3.5-hour bike ride with one of her yoga students through the countryside, got to see the biggest sheep I've ever seen. They were huge. I took pictures of them, and we just had such a great time. So we wanted to share with you all of that. And then I promise when I get home and settled and Katie's back on track, I'm sure she's got to get caught up on stuff when we leave tomorrow. We will get back together and do some more yoga for you. But I just wanted to show you everything and kind of fill you in on the trip. But it was so amazing. Going to Scotland for the day was great. Iceland was amazing. The whole trip was just outstanding. And she is an amazing tour guide and did such a great job, really making the best of it for her dad and I. So thank you so much.
Did you have a favorite place to knit while you were here?
We knit on trains, on buses. My favorite thing was knitting outside with coffee in front of the Minster. That was something else. I would say that was my favorite. But we everywhere we've been, we'll take it out and just start knitting. It's been so much fun. But yeah, I'd say outside.
We found a wood burning stove today to knit by. There was a bit of a rainstorm that we ducked in to avoid and got to knit by a wood stove. That was pretty nice, but I would also say my favorite was outside of the York Minster.
Yeah, so, and people would always, today we were knitting we went for a cup of coffee before we went to Betty's for a formal tea that was absolutely amazing. We stopped to get coffee before that, and the owner, where was he from? Albania. He was amazing. And his mom had knit for years and years. And so he saw us knitting. It's a great conversation starter. Everybody comes up, what are you knitting? And then you show them. And here I tell everyone I'm making a jumper. And she was making a jacket. So it's just, yeah, that's been so much fun. So I'll be doing that when I get home too. And we'll be FaceTiming. We usually FaceTime. She's the only person I can FaceTime when I get up in the morning at crazy hours, like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, because I can't sleep because I'm hormonal. I can FaceTime her and we'll knit together. So I'll be doing that.
We'll be doing lots of that because this is our last time together until February.
And my first holidays without Katie coming home in 27 or 8 years.
That'll be 27.
27 years. So yeah, we'll be FaceTiming a lot. All right, I guess that's it. So guys, continue to knit wherever you are, bring it with you everywhere. And we did a ton of walking. So I always like to tie health into the knitting. So we did tons of yoga. Well, not tons. I could have done more. I missed 2 of her classes, so she kind of gave me a hard time. But one I was bike riding with her student for, and the other one I was absolutely exhausted.
You had a work call.
It was a 7 o'clock. Oh yeah, and I had a work call that night. So those are the 2 that I missed. But we just did so much walking, and it was just wonderful. And that was our way to stay fit these last 2 weeks because we've eaten quite a bit for sure. Lots of treats, lots of things we don't normally eat. But I don't think we'll go home gaining any weight because we walked. Today was a low walking day and we walked 4 miles. I mean, we felt like we really didn't walk at all, but there were days we did 10, 11 miles. So yeah, we were able to stay active, and we want you to stay active, stay healthy, take care of your hands, keep your posture wonderful, and stay tuned. We'll do yoga with you next time.
Do you have any new phrase to sign off with? Anything you picked up here?
Oh dear. Hiya, hiya.
No, I was thinking more like a ta.
Ah,
Cheers.
cheers. Oh,
There
I
you
like
go.
cheers. Cheers. Signing off. Cheers. You gonna cheers me?
Sure.
All right. See you next time. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for your support and encouragement. And I love doing this for you. So we'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Thanks, Kate.